former Eagle Mark McMillian joins us for a couple moments, and I know he has a strong take on the Birds and, of course, their secondary. What's going on, Mark?
Oh, man, the wings have been clipped, man. I don't know what's going on, man.
Well, I ask you right off the bat. 2 weeks in the NFL season, would you deem this a must-win game for the Eagles against the Jets?
This is a must-win. Every week is a must-win in the NFL, but there's no greater need for them to get back on track. And obviously, you're playing against a good Jets defensive team. They move the ball well on offense. Obviously, they're well coached by Bowles. So this is not an easy task. And what the performance we've been putting on the field of late is it's terrible.
I think they're going up against a Jet team that not only is feeling a little cocky, a little confident, and really disrupting Andrew Luck. I made this point earlier in the show that when you watch the Jets, they blitzed Andrew Luck a lot. They might have not got to him, but they hit him. Conversely, the Cowboys only threw 3 blitzes all game against the Eagles and Sam Bradford. You mentioned Todd Bowles. Eagles haven't been running the football. Plays are getting blown up at the line of scrimmage. So you start to go to 2nd and long, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, 3rd and 9. That's an opportunity where an opportunistic defense like the Jets start to pin their ears back a little bit. This is a game where I think Bradford might be in trouble. A game where they can knock him out of the game. They can really force a lot of turnovers.
Not this game. He's been in trouble the last 2 weeks. This is just a little icing on the cake. And, I'm a defensive guy. Seeing the performance on the offense, you look at our wide receivers, we can't get any separation from the ball. I feel Bradford's a little gun shy.
Right.
You got guys coming at you. This is not preseason. This is not practice. He doesn't have on the red jersey. Guys are going to come after him. They're going to come after his legs. They're going to make him feel their presence, and you can tell in some of his throws. He's short-arming throws. He's not stepping up in the pocket. We're not getting any separation on the outside. And shoot, Mr. Murray, what he's got. I think I got more yards than he got, and I'm retired.
You played in the NFL for close to a decade, and I'm curious to get your take. When you look at Bradford, I mean, we'll speak more about the defensive side of football, but knowing that he already had the bad knees, the injuries, and they were kind of babying him through the preseason, as well as DeMarco Murray because of the load that he carried the football last year with so many totes, close to 400 with the Dallas Cowboys. Do you think it's backfiring a little bit where there still might be a little rust with these two and the offense getting in sync? Or do you really believe when you look at a guy like Bradford, he's just very skittish right now and gun-shy?
He's skittish, and he's damaged goods. He's damaged goods. He's been damaged since he came out of college. He hasn't completed a game a whole season since he's been in the NFL. So whenever you take a risk on that, there's very little reward. And obviously he has the tools to be a really good quarterback, but when you're coming off of 2 knee injuries, I'm sure it's very difficult for him to step up in the pocket and feel confident about that. So it's a tough break, man. I don't know why they made the move. Obviously, I'm still a Nick Foles fan, and it's good to see him have success over there in St. Louis.
Couple minutes with former Eagle, also played for the Saints and the Chiefs, Niners, and the Skins. Of course, cornerback Mark McMillian. Do not forget, if you want some really hard-hitting stuff, I know he does a great job with hardhittingradio.com. Mark, you mentioned the damaged goods. Well, look, that's an investment that's on Chip Kelly. That was his guy. A lot of people in our backyard are starting to clamor a little bit. A lot of people, you can read and hear things. I don't think they make a switch right now to Mark Sanchez because I think that's a $13 million mistake that Chip Kelly has to admit. But again, he's GM, he's head coach. This is his guy. When is there the time, if Bradford continues to struggle, that you go to Mark Sanchez?
The options that we have is just great, isn't it? We got Mark Sanchez as our backup savior. So there's going to come a time, obviously, as a head coach, you got to go with the guy. You gave him a lot of money. You traded for this guy, so you just got to ride the ship out for at least another week or two. But I figure if he has a bad performance once again this week, you got to make some kind of change. You're 0-3. You're not moving the ball on offense like everybody thought we were. And like I said, it's a different ball game coming from college into the pros, and it's just not. Guys are catching up to their offense now.
Mark McMillian joining us for a couple moments. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2 o'clock. All right, let's talk about that secondary. What have you seen from?
Goodness.
What have you seen from Byron Maxwell? Is it just product of the system?
He is He is stealing. He's going to the check line with a mask on. He's gotten a lot of money in the bank, and coming from a former defensive back, I have a great deal of respect for the guys that play outside the numbers. But Eagles are my team, and I'm going to tell it like it is. And I'm sure when I was playing the game, people said things about me, and I had to step my game up. But when you're making, you're kind of caliber player, and you're just putting in week and week out terrible performances. He's just not living up to the billing. So I don't, the last 3 cornerbacks I have, we've been having busts in the free agency. So maybe I should go out there and get in the front office, bring back Eric Allen, and maybe at least we can play some zone. We can get our hands on somebody.
And he had that 95-yarder against the Jets when Cunningham went down many, many moons ago. When you talk about the Eagles and the Jets, is it, Billy Davis? You have to make adjustments during a game, and you're looking at this Jet team right now that they're not going to have Decker. They're probably going to double team Brandon Marshall. Maybe at least try to stop the run a little bit. I don't think Fitzpatrick is going to wind up killing you. But how about the in-game adjustments? How come there's been lack of in-game adjustments by this defense the last 2 weeks?
That comes from the top. That's just coaching. You got to be able to adjust. You look at the Falcon game, and Julio just had a monster game. They made no adjustment to try to give that young man any kind of help, and against the Cowboys as well. They made no adjustments to try to get him some help as well. So it's just it comes from the top. You got to be able to adjust to the game plan, and I understand Julio's a big-time player, but if you're the big-time corner making big-time money, I always tell kids big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games, and he's just not living up to that billing now.
I mean, again, it's only two weeks, and I don't want to pile on Maxwell, but you look at this signing right now. Was he more of a product of the system in Seattle?
It seems to be that way. A lot of people always ask me how good is Darrelle Revis, and a lot of people thought he was a product of their system. And you see, he goes to New England, he's successful. He comes back to New England, to the Jets, and he's still successful. So it could be a product of the system. You see it every every year in the NFL. Guys that do great in one system, and you put them in another system, and they don't fare out too well. And we've seen that in Namdi as well, coming from Oakland
to
Philly. And
Kerry Williams.
It didn't pan out. Yeah, it just didn't pan out for those guys. And I use Eric Allen as an example. I don't like to toot my own horn, but every team that he played for, he performed the same way he performed in Philadelphia. And you look at Revis, he's still performing at the same rate that he performed in. So certain guys are system guys, and I hope the young man can get it together so we can get some wins under our belt. And
I look at it that, look, he was also a product of the marketplace, and he cashed in. I mean,
he was the right place at the right time.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it any better. But you're bringing him in. He's a corner 3, but you're asking him to play man-to-man. So,
and he's not a man-to-man guy.
Right.
And,
so
when you're making a free agent move, that's the homework that you do. Okay, if we're going to put him in our system to play man-to-man to get after the quarterback, which, we have a really good front 7 that can get after the quarterback, but our back end is just not holding up.
When you look at the Eagles as a whole right now, I said this earlier in the week, they don't have an identity. I mean, I can go back to when you played. I can go back to the last 5 to 10 years, even with Andy and Donovan and the Litos and the Dawkins and the Sheldon Browns and the Runyons and those guys. I don't see a guy on this team right now when the chips are down and things are going bad to just kind of get in everyone's face or during the locker room stand up, whether it's 30 seconds, and just make a proclamation, hey, it stops here. We got to make a play. Somebody go out and make a play. Would you agree with that they just don't have an identity right now, or they just don't have talent?
I agree 100%. There's no guy that's going to step up. And nowadays, like I said, it's a different ball game. Everybody's friends with each other. They're following each other on Twitter and Facebook, and they're taking pictures. You see on Sundays, they're helping guys off the field. They're shaking hands with the guy, with your opponent. And, I know I got in trouble my rookie year when I tried to help Emmitt Smith up. Andre Waters, he punched me in the back of the head and said, as long as you're on this team, we don't help anybody up. We're a defensive guy. We're going to set the tempo. And, I just don't see that, in football today. Obviously, you get fined for a lot of stuff, but there's nobody on that team that they can look to as like, hey, we're going to follow this guy. Every guy held each other accountable, from Jerome Brown to Reggie White to Byron Evans to Seth Joyners, all those guys. Everybody was held accountable, and everybody challenged each other, and we respected that because we performed like that. And there's no guy out there that's going to get in any guys' faces because they're probably afraid that they're going to hurt their buddy's feelings.
No, it's a valid point, and you can certainly speak more to that. Again, a couple minutes with Mark McMillian, Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2 o'clock. A couple more quickies for you. When you look at this team as a whole, the NFC East, the Giants still have some holes. Hopefully, when they get Cruz back, their offense might click a little more, but they have no pass rush. We saw Washington come down to earth. Dallas has their own issues. Kind of a two-fold question, two-pronged question here. You mentioned it's a must-win. I don't know, even at 0-3, if I can come on the air and still bury this team on Monday. I think it's going to be just because of how bad, and this is me being objective. This is just how bad the NFC East is, and we know quarterback gets knocked out. You've dealt with it. You've dealt with that through your career with quarterbacks. You lose Cunningham in an opener, so it happens, right? And next man up, McMahon, and now with the Cowboys, it's Whedon. So 2-part question here: when you look at the Eagles right now. And you look at the NFC East, do you still give them a glimmer of hope if they can patch a couple wins together and maybe run away with this thing, maybe actually win a couple ball games where 7-9, 8-8 might win a division? And then the second part of that, if they lose on Sunday and they go out and have a stinker, how hot is this seat right now that Chip Kelly is sitting on?
So, they have to get it together. Like I said, the division is so wishy-washy. It's up and down. It's not strong. You look at the injuries with Dez in Dallas, and you look at Romo. I'll say if those guys are healthy, they run away with the division. But with having those guys hurt and the shambles that's in Washington and the Giants, they're still kind of finding themselves as well, losing tough ball games.
Yep.
So as bad as we're talking about the Eagles, no one else is in the division is just ripping it up. Besides, the Cowboys are playing consistent, but now you lose your 2 offensive weapons, so they're going to struggle a little bit as well. So those teams are going to come back down to the pack, and as crazy as it sounds, like you say, the Eagles are still have a shot.
Last one before I let you get out of here. Again, very early on in the season, you've got Seattle with their backs against the wall, the Eagles with their backs against the wall, Baltimore with their backs against the wall. A lot of 0-2 teams, and then conversely, you got a couple surprises in there, 2-0. Who is an 0-2 team that you're looking at right now that's a lot better than the product we've seen on the field? And conversely, who is a 2-0 team where you say to yourself, you know what, smoke and mirrors, they're a fraud?
Give me a list of the 2-0 teams, and I'll kind of break it down.
Carolina, Cincinnati, the Jets, Patriots.
I would obviously the Patriots. The Patriots are going to be the Patriots. The Jets are playing good ball. I got a lot of faith and confidence in Todd Bowles. I'd never have a lot of faith in the Cincinnati Bengals. You never know what Dalton's going to do. Yep. His record is not good in the postseason and going down the stretch. So. I really don't see those guys, continue to play well. You look at the Steelers, who look terrible in week 1, and all of a sudden they come back in week 2 and just look like gangbusters. So,
how about Arizona? Arizona, to me, I think they're a legit team here in the NFC.
Arizona is a legit team. With Carson Palmer, you look at his stats and the way he's been playing. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks. Obviously, everybody's going to put up Tom Brady, but you look at what he's able to do after coming back from his knee injury with the guys that he has around him. They have a great defense. It's really hard to beat these guys here at home, and they're legit. They were legit last year before Carson went down, and you put him back in the lineup last year, and they're making noise in the playoffs. So I'm not a Cardinal fan, but I got to give credit where credit is due, and I have a lot of faith in that coaching staff as well.
And then about 30 seconds, 0-2 team. I mean, I already get rid of the Saints. I think they're done. I think I do. I think it's the end. It's unfortunate with Breeze. Chicago, quarterback issues with Cutler. Detroit, they've got some injuries. They're banged up. But Seattle 0-2. I mean, I think on paper, especially getting Chancellor back, it's going to help a little bit. And I see a situation where they just take the Bears behind the woodshed on Sunday and just really just rough them up.
Yeah, that'll be a good guy for them to get back. Obviously, he's one of the leaders on their defense as well. It will definitely boost those guys' confidence. I see them getting on track. Obviously, they have to find ways to get Jimmy Graham the ball. He's definitely electric. I would even like to see them use Tyler Lockett a little bit more because he's explosive as well. So that division is a little shaky. Obviously, you got the Cardinals in that division, so they'll probably win the division. The 49ers, you never know what you're going to get out of those guys. And the Rams are a great defensive ball club, but I don't see them knocking off the Cardinals or anything like that. So Seattle and the Cardinals are definitely the ones to look at in that division.
Hey, when we talk maybe in another week or so, I'll bring up Alabama.
Oh man, yeah. I think we play Louisiana Monroe on Saturday, so they're going to get a big paycheck. We should put up like 100 points against those guys, and then next week we got to go down to Athens and play the Bulldogs. So you know, I can't wait to Saturday so we can get a cupcake win so I can brag again.
Yeah, you and Notre Dame as well play in UMass. All right, my friend, I appreciate it. We'll talk hopefully next week or so. I appreciate it. Don't forget everyone out there. Mark also hosts a great show too online, hardhittingradio.com with Byron Evans. So check those guys out. Follow him on Twitter, Mark McMillian 29. Appreciate it, pal.
All right, good luck, guys.
All right, you got it. Be well. Mark McMillian, former Bird, with a couple good takes, strong takes on Byron Maxwell, just basically coming out stealing money.
He said he had a ski mask on,
yeah.
And he's cashing checks at the bank on Monday.
Listen, that's a guy that was 5'7", that played with flat-out guts. And those were good secondaries years ago with the Birds, but good take with Mark McMillian.